Hey, what's up YouTube, and welcome back to my final video for this evening. It is another one of Tyler's tech tutorials, and we're going to go ahead and set up the management of Office 365 through PowerShell. So with Office 365, there are two ways you can manage PowerShell and administer your cloud-based tenant. You can go through the browser by going to the office.com, sign in. As long as you're a domain admin or an administrator with a cloud administrator, you can go in here and you can manage all these accounts and your entire tenant from a browser itself. You don't have to log into a server. You don't have to console in through remote desktop services. You don't have to use a remote software utility. All you need is an internet connection, and you can go and do everything from the browser itself, including management of domain joined computers that are members of Azure Active Directory. So we recently added a computer to the Azure Active Directory domain. It's called a hybrid domain join. So if we go to Windows devices, we will see our Windows 10 VM that we just joined to the domain. And here we have who joined it. It was Kelly Kraut, enrolled by Kelly. And then you notice how we have several different categories we can view. We can look at properties, and we could reassign the primary user. We could, is it a personal device or is it a corporate-owned device? In this case, it's a corporate-owned device. Hardware, so we got serial number, device ID, and tune device ID. A lot of this would be very useful when I show you how to set up device enrollment through ADFS on a domain controller. I can set up what apps she's allowed to use and what apps she shouldn't be using throughout our organization. We did see an error for built-in device compliancy. Let me see, that might just be because I have not set up that specific policy yet. I rolled this out kind of fast for this video demonstration. Okay, so you notice how I can control this device right from this browser. And that's what makes it very very useful when it comes to using cloud-based technologies. I mean, what's going on here is yes, she is using SaaS, the software as a service, but it's now interacting with infrastructure as a platform as a service, PaaS, because now I am controlling that device and everything on that device through this console. So another way to manage another way to manage Office 365 or administer your tenant is through PowerShell. All right. So here we have a script. You know how I love my scripts, that will install all necessary PowerShell modules, and then you can connect to your Office 365 tenant with PowerShell. So I'm just going to freehand it here. We're going to check the execution policies. All right, we're going to set the execution policies. So that script we ran before to install Adobe DC, it did go back and reset execution policies to undefined, which is good. That's what we want to do. or for that specific script. So now, there we go. Okay, so first thing we want to do is install module AZ. And that's going to install the Azure PowerShell module. You see how I got that red error indicating I need to restart that DC1, which is right here. This is DC1. I need to restart that. Most likely to install updates. Now what it's doing here is it's going out and finding the modules. I need to install the NuGet package provider. So click yes. And then it's going to go out and install the Azure modules. Then it's going to ask me again if I want to install. So let's go back to, oh, okay, I know what's going on. So I had to reboot my computer and my DC2 turned off. So we need to go back to our Win Server 16 we created in VirtualBox. And let's do a headless start. So it's not going to show up in a separate window because I need to remote into it. All right, here we go. So back to our Windows 10 machine. Yes, we trust this repository. I know where it's coming from, so I'm going to click all, so it will install necessary modules. It's going to install a bunch of them, all the Azure modules, even for advanced cloud computing, such as remote management, virtual machine deployment, instances, storage groups, resource groups, functions, serverless applications, SQL servers. If you want to deploy an app, or if you have a website that you would like that, you want to have that running in Azure, all those components can be done through PowerShell itself. You just have to connect to your tenant, to your Office, or to your Azure subscription in PowerShell itself. And we'll do that real quick once this finishes. Now we're going to have to install a few different components. I'm sorry, it's a few different modules. We're going to need to install Azure. First one's AC for Azure. The second one is Azure AD. And then MSOL service. That is your Microsoft Services Online. And these are all the packages that are installing within that module, within the AZ module. So one of them is AZ Azure RM. That's Azure Remote Management. So let's say I migrated a virtual or a server from a physical machine. I virtualized the components of that physical hardware using a utility to convert the hard disk drive to a virtual hard disk. And then I migrated the converted virtualized storage to my Azure account. And all I have to do is create that virtual machine, use that existing virtual hard disk that I recently converted, and insert that into the virtual machine in Azure Tenant. I mean, it's really a pretty cool feature. The only thing you got to be concerned with is with the cloud, yes, you have you have enhanced functionality when it comes, and you can really manage your assets better than ever before. I mean, if the cloud were to go down, like if Azure went down, several services throughout the world would be affected. You have several different instances or locations. You have Eastern U.S., you have West U.S., and then you have various places throughout the country. There's several different data centers that provide these services throughout the world. So when you build a VM, you want to specify your location. If you're in the Western U.S. on the West Coast, you want to specify West U.S. If you're East, you want to say East U.S. If you're in Asia, you want to specify you're in Asia. And we'll actually demonstrate when I build a virtual machine. But for now, let's actually go in and build or connect to our Azure portal. And let's verify that DC2 is online by going into remote desktop and connecting to it. And I spell that right? I did. Okay. There we go. I'm going to put that over here on my other monitor. So a reboot is pending on DC1. So we're just going to go ahead and reboot that. And it's most likely due to the updates that were recently installed. They're configured to be installed at midnight. Yep. Okay, very good. So let's close. We should close out of everything that we have open. Any objects or accounts that are set up, we should close them down. And I'm going to show you another way to manage this. Okay, so let's add other servers to manage. Fine now, and we're going to add DC1, click OK, all servers. Very good. So let's go back to the dashboard. We've had some errors. So we saw the ADFS, let's refresh. Okay, so that's why you're seeing some of those errors, and that's okay for now. But let's start ADFS. So all servers. And what we're going to do is we're going to access the server using PowerShell. We can manage the server itself right in the PowerShell module. So let's make sure we're actually in the correct server. And we are. Well, not technically, because the reason it's saying DC2 is because DC2 is the primary domain controller, because all FSMO roles are transferred to DC2. I used to have a domain controller called DC. I ran into issues with DC, so I had to shut her down. So let's get computer info. Let's query the domain name, CS name. It should come back as DC1. And you can even tell by that. But we want to be sure. Better safe than sorry. Because I'm going to go ahead and restart this server remotely, which is my preferred way of restarting a server. When I have to, I want to restart it remotely, and then I want to remote into it when it's finished, when it's fully back online. So it looks like there's a connection gap here. Okay, very good, DC1. So we're going to restart computer, which is actually the server. It's just that's the name of the command. Force. And then if I go back down here, I should see. Oh, you see how it's very good. So let's finish while that server is restarting. Let's install Azure AD. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. And then what I'm using here are snippets within PowerShell. Oh my gosh, I need to go to bed. And that's going to install the Azure Active Directory module and all the packages within that module, which includes the, I don't know if this one includes the Exchange Server Online. I think I have to install Microsoft's the MSOL package, and then we'll be fully ready to go. And then there's a new one for Teams. If you want to manage Teams through PowerShell, you can also do that. So let's go back and check this. Now you see I'm still logged in as DC1 on the PowerShell command window. Once I hit enter, I'm surprised I'm still logged in as okay, so that's done already. That was fast. So the third one is MSOL service. So see, this is the one that always gives you some hiccups. Well, let's see if we can connect to it anyways. No, we're not doing the name. We want to do it by credential. All right, you know what? Let's just leave that. Now remember, we're going to be signing in as Chris J. So we should see a pop-up window. And this is going to look very similar to our Office 365 login. And this is a good place to figure out if you need to install additional components and modules. It will spit back a bunch of errors and ugly red text, but it did not. Very good. So let's look at all of our user accounts. I did not want to do that, but that's okay. Let's go list our current applications. Okay. So I want to make sure I have that MSOL online. That was the problem. And then I can manage the subscription itself. I can assign licenses. It's easy to get those two mixed up. There's so many of them. So I want to update that script when I have the opportunity to. There we go. That's more like it. And just to clarify, this is all a testing environment. This is not a live environment. None of these accounts really exist. So Chris doesn't exist. She has a nice photo. Too bad she didn't exist. I wonder what would happen if I call that number. So let's see if Dan's title updated yet. We changed to server side. Usually have to refresh the browser before you see any changes take effect. Let's look over here in our users and look for Dan. No, look at that. There it is. The company name should be coming up. I don't know why. See, I have two scripts that I set up for this lab environment that I like to use, and this was a new one. And it's okay, but like, I have another script. Let me show you. That will populate each user by its location. Ugh, that's privacy. So let me connect to my Pi again. Yeah, I know. I just set this Pi up not too long ago. I always like to check the storage and the networking. So I'm a little bummed out why that's not showing up. Let's go to the network and see if I can get through it that way. Sometimes if you just check the status out here. Alright, so I got my NAS is up and running. Why isn't the Pi going? So why can't I get to my NAS on the Pi? That's it. So we're currently signed in as Chris to our tenant. There's our tenant ID. If you look, 735, blah, 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 blah. If you go to same tenant. So we can manage everything right from PowerShell. Now if I connect to MSOL, it should prompt me for a MSOL service. So that's probably why I couldn't update this script. Oh, all right, there it is. So it's probably going to make me sign in this here again. That's okay. I like Chris. Oh, yeah. Did I spell that right? I hope so. Now remember, Chris is a global domain administrator for this tenant. Oh, the password's wrong. All right. So now I can review our Office 365 licenses available in this tenant. So let's get that. Account SKU. There you go. Very good. So let's get MSOL user. Oh, that might not work. Oh, it did. Cool. So let's say I wanted to download all these users and export each user name and account into a spreadsheet. That sounds really complicated, but it's really not. I'm going to pipe and then export CSV path, and we're going to go to our current path. We're going to name it Oh, stupid numlock. And if you look here, you should see a file called MSOL, whatever I named it. There it is. Now what it's going to do is probably open up this file in Office 365 in your web browser, because I don't have it installed yet. Maybe I do. Okay, so that was cool because I actually did not install Office 16 yet, but by adding her account in the user settings or account settings, looks like that automatically installed her subscription. So let's see if we can activate it. Now I'm not signed in as her, so I don't know if it would work. But this is just a basic example of using PowerShell to administer accounts and just retrieve records that are needed for day-to-day reports and inventory and asset management. So remember how I went in here and I connected through. Now let's I'm gonna go to info. Okay. Let's no, I might have accidentally let me see. Kelly or Chris that it was Kelly. So this might break it. Very good. Click done. Now you might even see so all that did was basically activate the current product. Close. So we're signed in as a local administrator for this computer. It's not a domain admin account, it's a local administrator. No, I'd actually have to switch accounts and sign in as Chris or Kelly, but it doesn't really matter because I just needed to activate or use Excel real quick. And this is how Microsoft has made so much money over the years, is licensing, and it's actually kind of a brilliant scheme if you think about it, because how many people use, Excel or Access, or trust me, if go use Office Libre or some of the Office distribution apps on Ubuntu, and you'll be like, oh, okay, it's they work okay, but anywho, so yeah, we got our users in the spreadsheet. All right, let's look at. I believe we already looked at our licensing. I think. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to call it a day. The next time we're going to sign in as Kelly K and manage this device. And then what I'm going to do right now before we end the night is I'm going to go to VirtualBox. Let's see if I get to my pi again. Probably not. Let's go to VirtualBox. We're going to create a new virtual machine. And this is going to be specifically for a on-premises domain joined device. So we're going to be joining it to our Active Directory domain on premises. No, that does not want to work today, does it? So let's refresh this and see if it actually restarted yet. That's going to take a while to create that disk. Let's go over here. And DC1 might take some time to get back online. No. So it takes a while whenever you restart your any of your virtual machines, especially if it's a server. You want to plan accordingly. You plan for the downtime and the outages. I always do that during the off hours to make sure it doesn't interfere with production or disruption of services. You obviously saw how long it took, and when it rebooted, it installed updates. You saw the lag in the network because of the updates that were currently being downloaded and installed. And utilized a decent amount of bandwidth. I mean, I could even pull some Wireshark, and we could, dice the packet to do. So, just to finish up this video, I know I've already said that a bunch of times. Let's go to the Azure portal. Okay. Scratch that. We'll wait for the next video. I just wanted to kind of show you what the first module we installed was AZ. That is the Azure module itself. That is the full Azure suite. So I'm talking virtual machines, networking, storage. It's pretty cool. That's it for the day. Have a good one.